All right, so this is just a general interview on happiness and its relationship to money. There's no right or wrong answers. So the first question, I'd like to know how you define happiness and not what makes you happy, but happiness itself.
I think happiness is a feeling or a spirit that makes you feel good about a lot of different things and helps you, I think, enjoy relationships and work and school and the world.
I like that. Do you think it's directly related to one thing, or do you think you can find it anywhere?
I think you can find it anywhere, but I think there are certain aspects of it which need to be present to get you to feel the way you want to feel.
Like what kind of aspects?
Well, I mean, um, a sports relationship, a educational relationship, doing something with that person that you both enjoy, and it helps your relationship, even if you have a falling out. It helps you get back to where you want to be.
Do you think it mainly stems off of some sort of relationship with someone or something?
I think it's more of a relationship with someone than it is with
Gotcha.
some.
How do you think wealth and money is related to happiness?
I think in some ways it's confusing, but in some ways, having or not having money affects your ability to be happy and have joyful relationships.
So do you think people with more money have more successful relationships and are more happy?
Um, Sometimes, but not always. I think sometimes people with more money or too much money um, use it to take control and run the show.
Do you think you can be happy with very little money?
Um, that's a toughie. I think it's something you'd have to learn and something you'd have to understand. But I think you can be happy without a lot of money, as long as you have enough to do the things that you need to do um, and that you want to do.
So just meeting like the necessities.
Excuse me?
So just meeting like the necessities.
Well, that's obviously part of it, but it depends on how you use your money. If you use it for yourself, for necessities and things you want, but also use it to help friends and family, I think it generally is a plus. It oftentimes gets misconstrued, but in the end, having the ability to help and receiving the help um, helps the relationship and both people.
Gotcha. How much do you think someone has to earn in order to be considered wealthy?
Mm. Well, that depends on a lot of things, where you live, what you do, um, how many people depend on you for financial help. It's changeable and difficult to always know the answer.
So just based on different circumstances, it could be a different number.
Yes.
Imagine you won the lottery and you won $100 million. What would you do first? How would your life change? And how would this affect your relationships? I'll ask them one at a time. So what would you do first?
Um, well, I'd pay off any debts that I had, and I'd use the money to help the people that I love and that could use the help.
How would this change your life?
Um, in the short term, it would probably um, be a little overwhelming. And I think you'd have to figure out a level road going forward to um, keep things the way they should be. And I would say that it's not always, the presence of money is not always going to resolve or cure your situations.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about how people will win the lottery and then they end up like ruining their lives. Um, why do you think that is?
Um,
Do you think it's just
I,
because it's so overwhelming?
I just think that, you know, it's, if you've worked hard for a long time and had very little money, winning $100,000 in the lottery would be overwhelming in the beginning. And I think you might make some bad decisions because you were so overwhelmed.
Yeah, I agree. And how would that affect your relationships having that $100 million from the lottery?
Um, I'm hoping it would help all relationships, but I'm not sure that's always the case. Um, but having that kind of money, if you're not overwhelmed and making stupid decisions, is probably in the long run going to help you somewhat.
Mhm. How has your view of the relationship between happiness and money changed over your life from growing up to being older? How has the complex relationship between the two changed?
Well, when I was growing up, I lived in a family that was not um, wealthy or overwhelmingly rich, but my parents both worked hard and did what they could, particularly my mother, and made the smart decisions with regard to her money, how she made it, how she spent it, and what she expected us to do.
When you started working, did that influence from your mom allow you to make the same decisions, or how did you get to the point where you are today?
Well, a lot of it was being in the right place at the right time and being lucky. Um, I mean, having Janie's father, who was a judge, a lawyer first, and then a judge, helped me tremendously when I moved from New York to Baltimore and got me introduced to a lot of situations and places that helped my legal career. I mean, I became a bailiff to a judge before I started law school and clerked for this judge for the whole 3 years I was in law school. So I got to know the system, I got to know the people, I got to know the judges. It was extremely helpful to me.
Hmm. So is the way you see money and how it affects relationships different than the way you saw it when you were a kid? Did you think you needed more money to be happy when you were a kid?
I did.
And have you realized that's not the case, or do you still believe it's true to an extent?
No, I don't believe it's true. And I believe my mother was very good about not letting us be overwhelmed by it.
Right.
She made decisions like with clothing. We could basically buy clothing, 3 times a year. To her, the most important was what you wore to church. Second was what you wore to school, and those kind of things. And I think that that was probably in the long term beneficial to me and to my idea of what to wear and what to look like, etc.
Hmm. What benefits related to happiness does wealth provide a person?
Uh, Well, I think it, in a lot of respects, allows you to help other people that you know and love, and it allows you to do things that you want to do. Not always the right things, not always should do, but want to do.
Mhm.
And I just having the ability to be able to afford most things that you want is something good in life.
Mhm. Mm. Do you think your life would have been a lot different if that wasn't the case and you didn't have the extra money to be able to afford things?
Um, well, when I was young, I didn't have the extra money to afford things, and
If that continued, would your life be different now, or how so?
um, well, I'll tell you one thing I did that was having an absence of money in the long term helped my life. I screwed around my first couple times in college and did stupid things that got me suspended. And my mother decided that since I wasn't taking advantage of the opportunities that she provided me financially, I was going to pay for it myself. And I think that was a very smart decision on her part.
Hmm. Do you think an absence of money can help you in a different way than
Yeah,
a plethora of
I think
money?
I think it helped me because what it did for me was I had to um, go to school at night and work during the day to pay for the school. And it was difficult to do, but it was a good step in my life.
Right. Hmm. Is there anything else you would like to add on the relationship between happiness and money or anything of that sort?
Well, I think money, if you use it and spend it properly, can improve your life. But I think there are other things that are more influential in making you and your life better.
And what would those things be?
A good family relationship, a good marital relationship, you know, kids that you love and parents that you love.
Mhm.
Those things in the long run are more important than money.
Do you think relationships are the biggest contributor to happiness?
Um, I do, particularly good relationships. And I think all relationships have stumbling blocks, but overall, I think relationship with people, both family and friends, is more important than money.
Right. Well, um, if there's nothing else you'd like to add, that'll wrap it up.
Well, I'm glad that I have enough money to do some of the things that I want to do for family and friends. And I think that's in some ways reassuring, but in the long run, it's not the money, it's the relationship that is critical, I think.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, Swede.
Thank you. And let me know what results, this has, if any.
Yeah, for sure, I will. All right.
Okay, well,
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. And I am happy to do this, and I can't wait to hear what happens with it.
Sounds good. All right. Bye, Swede. Thank you.
You're welcome. Love you.
Love you too.